They hate when you come to work, do your job, then go home. There's something unsettling about you. That's what they think. You show up, do your job, and leave. No small talk, no pointless gossip, no unnecessary meetings. You don't pick sides, you don't engage in office drama, and you don't waste time pretending to care about things that have nothing to do with your work. And that makes them uncomfortable. They don't know what to do with you. Are you watching? Are you judging? Are you secretly reporting back to someone? They can't place you in a box. You're not the office loudmouth, the messenger, or the troublemaker. You're just working, and to them, that's suspicious. Why? Because workplaces don't just run on productivity. They run on unspoken alliances, hidden politics, and people playing the game. When you refuse to participate, you disrupt their system. You remind them that you don't need validation, that you're not here to make friends, and that work is just work for you. That makes them uncomfortable because they've already traded their time, energy, and identity for the illusion of belonging. But here's the truth. You don't owe them anything. You were hired to do a job, not to play a role in their office politics. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." Stop worrying about what they think. You don't exist to entertain them. And that's exactly why they hate you. Today on Victory Stoic, we're breaking down why they resent you for setting boundaries and how to stay untouchable in a workplace built on nonsense. If you refuse to be dragged into the office circus, like, share, subscribe, and comment. I choose my peace. And if you've ever been judged for simply doing your job and nothing more, tell us your story below. We want to hear it. Now let's get started. Number 1. They hate that they can't figure you out. Meet Daniel. He's been working at his office job for 5 years, and he has mastered a rare skill, doing his job and minding his own business. He arrives on time, gets his work done efficiently, doesn't waste time on small talk, and leaves as soon as the clock hits 5 p.m. He doesn't gossip, doesn't join pointless debates, and doesn't stay late just to impress anyone. And for some reason, this infuriates his coworkers. "Daniel is so cold," they whisper. "He never shares anything about himself. What's his deal? Does he think he's better than us?" He's probably a corporate spy. They simply cannot accept that Daniel is just there to do his job. His silence threatens them. His lack of interest in office politics makes them uneasy. They don't know if he's a snitch, a loner, or just someone who genuinely doesn't care about their nonsense. And in a world where people rely on gossip and alliances to feel safe, not knowing where someone stands is terrifying. Now let's look at Brian, Daniel's complete opposite. Brian thrives on attention. He overshares about his personal life, knows every office rumor, and has strong opinions about everything from management to the office coffee machine. He's everyone's friend because he makes himself indispensable to the gossip network. And guess what? No one questions Brian. They know exactly who he is, a talker, an entertainer, someone who plays along. But Daniel, he remains a mystery, and people hate mysteries. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Daniel understands this. He knows he cannot control what others think of him, but he can control his actions. He refuses to waste mental energy on fitting in, winning approval, or explaining himself. And that's why they hate him. Because deep down, they know that he is free in a way they are not. He isn't seeking validation. He isn't playing their game. And in a world where people desperately want to be understood, nothing is more unsettling than someone who simply doesn't care. So the next time you feel pressure to open up just to make others comfortable, remember Daniel. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. Let them guess, let them assume. Just do your job, go home, and keep your freedom. Number 2, you refuse to play the office drama game, and they hate that. Workplaces are supposed to be about productivity, efficiency, and teamwork. But anyone who has spent more than a month in an office knows the truth. Workplaces are also breeding grounds for petty rivalries, alliances, and backstabbing politics. And nothing confuses and frustrates your coworkers more than someone who refuses to play along. Take Emily, for example. She's been at her company for 3 years and quickly realized that her office has two kinds of people: the players and the spectators. The players? They live for office gossip, thrive on workplace feuds, and spend more energy monitoring their colleagues than actually doing their jobs. The spectators. They don't engage, don't pick sides, and most importantly, don't care. Emily is one of them. She shows up, does her work, avoids unnecessary conversations, and leaves when the clock hits 5. And that makes the players furious. She never talks to anyone, whispers Karen from accounting. She must be hiding something, speculates Mike from sales. I bet she thinks she's better than us, says Jessica, who conveniently forgets that she's the one who starts most of the office drama in the first place. But here's the truth. Emily isn't hiding anything. She just refuses to waste her time on nonsense. And that's why they resent her, because her neutrality, her refusal to engage, and her focus on actual work make them question their priorities. If Emily can get through the day without feeding into gossip, why can't they? If Emily doesn't need to involve herself in useless conflicts, why do they? The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control." Emily understands this. She knows that office politics are a trap, a black hole of wasted energy that benefits no one except those who love to manipulate others. She knows that getting involved in drama never leads to real progress, only distraction. Now let's contrast Emily with Sarah, her coworker, who does the opposite. Sarah knows every office rumor before it even spreads. She is allied with one group and constantly at war with another. She always knows who's in trouble with the boss, who secretly dislikes whom, and who's most likely to get fired next. Her entire workday is consumed by political maneuvering. And what does she get in return? Stress, paranoia, and the constant fear that one day she'll be the one people talk about. Meanwhile, Emily, she's sipping her coffee in peace, completely unaffected. The players of the office game don't hate Emily. They hate what she represents: freedom, freedom from pointless conversations, freedom from caring about the trivial, freedom from needing approval from the herd. And the best part? Emily isn't even trying to make a statement. She's just minding her business. But to the drama-addicted masses, that's an unforgivable offense. So the next time someone calls you cold or distant just because you refuse to engage in gossip, remember this: their problem isn't with you, it's with themselves. Let them play their little games. Just do your job, go home, and keep your peace. Number 3, they can't figure you out, and that terrifies them. People like things they can define, categorize, and predict. But you? You don't fit into any of their boxes. You're not the office gossip. You're not the loud complainer. You're not the overly eager employee trying to impress the boss. You're just there. And that makes them deeply uncomfortable. Take Jake, for example. He works hard, but he doesn't overshare. He listens more than he speaks. He keeps his thoughts to himself unless something truly needs to be said. When coworkers huddle in the break room whispering about company drama, he sips his coffee in silence. When everyone argues about a policy change, he simply nods and gets back to work. And because of that, they don't know what to do with him. What's his deal? He never complains. Does that mean he secretly agrees with management? He never gossips. Does that mean he thinks he's better than us? He never tries to impress the boss. Does that mean he has some secret leverage? In a workplace full of politics, alliances, and social hierarchies, neutrality is dangerous. When people can't categorize you, they assume you must be hiding something. To them, your silence is suspicious. Your lack of participation is a threat, and your refusal to engage means you're either incredibly smart or incredibly dangerous. Either way, they don't trust you. Now let's compare Jake to Nick, his coworker. Nick is easy to understand. He laughs at every joke, joins every gossip session, picks a side in every office debate, and makes sure everyone knows exactly where he stands. He's predictable, easy to read, and never leaves anyone wondering what's on his mind. And that's why Nick is accepted. Not because he's respected, but because he's controllable. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Jake understands this. He knows that staying quiet, keeping to himself, and refusing to get sucked into office politics makes people uncomfortable. But he also knows that it keeps him free. So they can talk, they can assume, they can speculate all they want. But Jake, he'll keep doing his job, going home, and living his life. And deep down, they envy him for it. Number 4, you don't share your personal life and they take it personally. Work is work. Your personal life is your personal life. To you, the two should remain separate. But to them, that's a problem. In most workplaces, small talk isn't just a way to pass the time. It's a currency. People trade personal stories like gossip, building bonds through mutual oversharing. They want to know who you're dating, what your weekend plans are, how much your spouse makes, and whether your kid is struggling in school. And when you don't play along, they don't just feel ignored, they feel rejected. Take Olivia. She's been working in her office for years, and everyone around her has a habit of sharing too much. Sarah from accounting rants about her in-laws every morning. Tom from HR constantly overshares about his financial problems. And Olivia, she just listens, nods, and keeps her life to herself. She never volunteers details about her weekend, never complains about her spouse, and never discusses personal matters unless necessary. And that drives her coworkers crazy. She never talks about herself. What is she hiding? She must think she's better than us. I bet she doesn't even like us. But here's the truth. Olivia isn't hiding anything. She just values her privacy. She knows that the more you share, the more people have to judge, gossip, or use against you. She's seen it happen before. How quickly harmless personal details turn into office whispers. How private struggles become lunchroom entertainment. So she chooses to keep work strictly professional. And the irony, people like Olivia make their best friends. She doesn't fake closeness. She doesn't pretend to be interested in your life just to extract information. If she ever does open up, it's because she truly values the relationship, not because she needs to fill the silence. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." Olivia understands this. She isn't rude, she isn't distant, she's simply selective. So the next time someone calls you cold, just because you don't share your entire life story, remember this. The problem isn't you, it's their need to be validated through social approval. Let them talk. Just do your job, go home, and keep your peace. Number 5, you work efficiently, but you don't pretend to be busy, and that threatens them. In the modern workplace, productivity isn't always about results. It's often about appearances. People have mastered the art of looking busy rather than getting things done. They take long meetings with no clear outcome, send emails at odd hours to seem hardworking, and dramatically sigh about their workload just to fish for sympathy. And then there's you. You come in, focus, complete your tasks efficiently, and leave. No theatrics, no unnecessary overtime, no performative stress. You don't complain about your workload because you don't let it pile up in the first place. You don't stay late just to be seen because you understand that working longer doesn't always mean working better. And that makes them uncomfortable. Take David, a software engineer at a big corporation. He's sharp, organized, and methodical. While his coworkers spend half the day complaining about how overworked they are, David simply sits down and does the work. He doesn't rush, he doesn't panic, he just executes. By 5 p.m., his tasks are done, while his colleagues are still collaborating on issues that could have been solved in an hour. And every day, when David packs up his things and leaves on time, he feels passive-aggressive stares from his coworkers. How is he done already? He must not be working hard enough. He's making the rest of us look bad. But David isn't making anyone look bad. He's just exposing the inefficiency they've normalized. The reality is that workplaces reward the illusion of effort rather than real results. Employees are conditioned to believe that looking stressed equals working hard. They associate exhaustion with dedication and busyness with importance. So when someone like David comes along, someone who gets things done without the drama, they feel attacked. Not because he's doing anything wrong, but because his competence highlights their inefficiency. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." David understands this. He doesn't waste time explaining his work ethic to those who resent him. He doesn't feel guilty for being efficient. He knows that he was hired to produce results, not to put on a performance. And that's why they hate him. Because deep down, they know they could be like David too. They could work smarter instead of harder. They could set boundaries instead of staying late for no reason. But they won't, because they've convinced themselves that suffering is the price of success. So the next time someone rolls their eyes when you finish your work ahead of schedule, remember this. The problem isn't that you're not working hard enough. The problem is that they aren't working smart enough. Let them play their little game. Just do your job, go home, and keep your peace. Number 6, you don't suck up to the boss, and that makes you a threat. In most workplaces, talent alone doesn't guarantee success. Politics does. People aren't just working, they're maneuvering, positioning, and playing the game to win favor. They compliment the boss's terrible ideas, laugh at jokes that aren't funny, and pretend to be eternally grateful for opportunities that are just extra work with no extra pay. And then there's you. You don't fake enthusiasm. You don't engage in corporate theatrics. You don't treat your manager like a god who holds the key to your destiny. You do your job, you do it well, and you expect to be valued based on your work, not on how much you flatter those in power. And that makes you dangerous. Take Michael, a project manager at a mid-sized company. Michael believes in delivering results, not in excessive praise. He meets deadlines, leads his team well, and doesn't waste time trying to be the boss's favorite. Meanwhile, his coworker Chris has built his entire career on one thing: flattery. Chris never challenges the boss's opinions, never takes the initiative unless it will get him noticed, and always makes sure he's visible when it's time for recognition. And guess who gets promoted first? Chris, of course. Not because he's better at his job, but because he plays the game. And here's the part that makes it worse. Chris and others like him hate people like Michael. They don't just dislike him, they resent him. Because Michael is living proof that it's possible to succeed without groveling, his very existence threatens the entire system they rely on. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "When someone is properly grounded in life, they should not have to look outside themselves for approval." Michael understands this. He doesn't need validation from his boss, nor does he need to play politics to feel secure. He knows his worth, and that alone makes him untouchable. And that's why they hate him, because deep down they know they wouldn't survive without their constant acts of loyalty and fake admiration. They need the system to reward obedience because, without it, they have nothing. So the next time you notice coworkers giving you side eyes because you refuse to engage in their flattery contest, remember this: you're not the problem. You're the proof that the game isn't necessary. Let them sell their dignity for approval. Just do your job, go home, and keep your peace. Number 7, you don't seek validation, and that threatens them. Most people don't just work for a paycheck. They work for recognition, approval, and the sweet dopamine hit that comes with being praised. They need validation like oxygen, whether it's from their boss, their peers, or even a meaningless "great job" in a Slack message. But you don't need any of it. You do your job well because that's what you were hired to do. You don't seek applause, you don't fish for compliments, and you don't rely on external praise to feel accomplished. And that makes them deeply uncomfortable. Take Ryan, an analyst at a finance firm. He gets his work done efficiently, doesn't make a big deal about it, and moves on. He doesn't expect a pat on the back for doing what he was hired to do. Meanwhile, his coworker Jason thrives on recognition. Every time Jason completes a task, he makes sure people notice. He reminds the boss of his contributions in meetings, subtly brags in group chats, and frames every minor achievement as if he just saved the company. But here's the problem. Ryan's quiet confidence exposes Jason's insecurity. Jason needs praise to feel valuable, but Ryan doesn't. Jason wants the boss to acknowledge every late night he worked, every tiny improvement he made, every time he went above and beyond. But Ryan, he just does his job and goes home. He doesn't need external approval, and that threatens people like Jason. And so, Jason starts testing Ryan. He starts questioning Ryan's work, subtly poking at his methods. He makes snide comments, hoping to trigger some emotional reaction. Are you sure that's the best way to do it? Huh, interesting approach. I wouldn't have done it like that. He tries to unsettle Ryan, to make him doubt himself, to force him to seek validation like everyone else. But Ryan, he just listens, processes, and calmly checks his work. If there's a mistake, he fixes it. If not, he moves on. No defensiveness. He does not need to prove himself. No emotional reaction. And that drives Jason insane. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Ryan understands this. He knows that people's opinions don't change the quality of his work. Validation is just noise, and he doesn't need it. And that's why they hate him. Because people like Jason need recognition to survive. They need others to witness their effort, to confirm their importance, to validate their existence. And when someone like Ryan shows up, someone who works hard without needing an audience, it forces them to ask a terrifying question. What if I'm chasing something meaningless? So the next time someone tries to rattle you, test you, or provoke you into proving yourself, remember Ryan. True strength comes from within, not from approval. Let them fight for attention. Just do your job, go home, and keep your peace. Number 8, they will test you because they can't stand not knowing. People don't like what they can't define, and you are an enigma. You don't engage in gossip, you don't pick sides, and you don't try to impress anyone. So they start testing you, because if they can't understand you, they need to put you into a box. At first, they observe you from a distance. Then they start throwing labels at you, hoping one will stick. You're too nice. Maybe you're just polite and professional, but to them, it seems suspicious. Why doesn't he join in when we trash talk the new manager? Is he trying to be better than us? They assume you're hiding something. You're a snitch. If you don't gossip, you must be secretly reporting to the boss. You keep your head down, but now every time you walk past a group, they lower their voices. They don't know if you're listening, so they assume the worst. You're a troublemaker. Ironically, because you refuse to cause drama, they assume you must be doing it behind the scenes. Why does she never complain about anything? Maybe she's plotting something. And if labeling doesn't work, they escalate. Take David, a software engineer who just wants to do his job and go home. But his coworkers don't trust him. He doesn't gossip, doesn't fake enthusiasm, and doesn't seek approval. So they start testing him. First, it's small provocations. Someone deliberately makes an incorrect statement in a meeting just to see if he'll correct them. He doesn't. Then it's fake friendliness. A coworker invites him to lunch, but the conversation quickly turns into office gossip. He doesn't engage. Finally, it's an open challenge. A colleague passive-aggressively criticizes his work, hoping to trigger a reaction. David simply acknowledges the comment, double-checks his work, and moves on. No emotional outburst, no defense, no validation seeking. And that infuriates them, because they realize they can't control him. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." David understands this. He knows their games, and he refuses to play. They can test him all they want. He is untouchable. And that's why they hate him, because they need to categorize people to feel safe. If they can't control how you react, they don't know how to handle you. And when they realize their tricks don't work on you, they feel powerless. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, label you, or test your patience, remember this: you don't owe them a reaction. Let them struggle to figure you out. Just do your job, go home, and keep your peace. Number 9, they might try to push you out, but that's their loss, not yours. Workplaces aren't always about skill or results. Many of them thrive on loyalty to the system, not loyalty to the truth. If you refuse to play along, if you don't engage in the politics, the corruption, or the petty power games, you become a problem. Not because you're incompetent, not because you're difficult, but because you can't be controlled. And when they realize they can't change you, they may decide to remove you. This isn't just theory, it happens all the time. It happened to the very author of this video. He once worked in the oil and gas industry, an environment where trust wasn't about competence, but about complicity. His boss was cheating on his wife, and it was an unspoken rule that everyone in the office was expected to cover for him. Not just by keeping quiet, but by actively helping maintain the illusion. Lying to his wife, deflecting suspicions, and protecting his image. At first, the author thought it didn't concern him. He wasn't going to expose his boss, but he wasn't going to lie either. That should have been enough, right? Wrong. His neutrality wasn't seen as professionalism, it was seen as a threat. That's when the slow isolation began. Meetings happened without him. Conversations stopped when he walked into the room. Opportunities mysteriously disappeared. Coworkers who once joked with him now looked at him with suspicion. The message was clear. He wasn't one of them. And in a place where belonging was everything, that meant he had to go. And so they pushed him out. But here's what they didn't realize. They were doing him a favor. Because when he finally left, he found something better. A healthier environment, a career where success was based on skill, not deceit. The very thing they thought would break him ended up setting him free. This is what many people don't understand. Getting pushed out of a toxic workplace isn't a failure. It's a redirection. It's the universe, life, or fate telling you, you don't belong here. You are meant for something greater. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Walking away or being forced out can feel like a loss at first. But if the price of staying is losing yourself, losing your integrity, and becoming someone you despise, then the real loss is in staying. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're being pushed out for not playing the game, don't see it as a punishment. See it as an opportunity, because sometimes getting removed from a toxic system is the best thing that could ever happen to you. They can keep their lies, their games, their alliances built on deceit. You'll take your integrity, your peace, and your future. Let them think they've won. Just do your job, go home, and, if necessary, walk away towards something better. Number 10, they might try to push you out, but that's their loss, not yours. Workplaces aren't always about skill or results. Many of them thrive on loyalty to the system, not loyalty to the truth. If you refuse to play along, if you don't engage in the politics, the corruption, or the petty power games, you become a problem. Not because you're incompetent, not because you're difficult, but because you can't be controlled. And when they realize they can't change you, they may decide to remove you. This isn't just theory, it happens all the time. It happened to the very author of this video. He once worked in the oil and gas industry, an environment where trust wasn't about competence, but about complicity. His boss was cheating on his wife, and it was an unspoken rule that everyone in the office was expected to cover for him. Not just by keeping quiet, but by actively helping maintain the illusion. Lying to his wife, deflecting suspicions, and protecting his image. At first, the author thought it didn't concern him. He wasn't going to expose his boss, but he wasn't going to lie either. That should have been enough, right? Wrong. His neutrality wasn't seen as professionalism. It was seen as a threat. That's when the slow isolation began. Meetings happened without him. Conversations stopped when he walked into the room. Opportunities mysteriously disappeared. Co-workers who once joked with him now looked at him with suspicion. The message was clear. He wasn't one of them. And in a place where belonging was everything, that meant he had to go. And so they pushed him out. But here's what they didn't realize. They were doing him a favor. Because when he finally left, he found something better. A healthier environment. A career where success was based on skill, not deceit. The very thing they thought would break him ended up setting him free. This is what many people don't understand. Getting pushed out of a toxic workplace isn't a failure. It's a redirection. It's the universe, life, or fate telling you, you don't belong here. You are meant for something greater. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." Walking away or being forced out can feel like a loss at first. But if the price of staying is losing yourself, losing your integrity, and becoming someone you despise, then the real loss is in staying. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're being pushed out for not playing the game, don't see it as a punishment. See it as an opportunity, because sometimes getting removed from a toxic system is the best thing that could ever happen to you. They can keep their lies, their games, their alliances built on deceit. You'll take your integrity, your peace, and your future. Let them think they've won. Just do your job, go home, and, if necessary, walk away towards something better. Closing, keeping your distance at work isn't a flaw. It's a strategy. It keeps you focused, drama-free, and in control of your career. You're not there to entertain, to gossip, or to play politics. You're there to do your job and protect your peace. If that makes people uncomfortable, if they isolate you or even push you out, don't see it as a loss. See it as a filter. A toxic workplace that punishes professionalism isn't a place you want to be in. Being forced out of the wrong place means you're now free to find the right one. Your job doesn't define you. Your integrity does. And the truth is, you will thrive elsewhere, with people who value competence over theatrics and results over manipulation. They don't hate you because you're wrong. They hate you because you're free. This is Victory Stoic, the place where you learn to stand firm and refuse to be pulled into nonsense. If you choose to protect your peace, like, share, subscribe, and comment, I choose my peace. And never forget, their approval is optional. Your freedom is not.